Hello, I'm Assemblywoman Jean Stanfield, and I'd like to talk to you today about the importance of pool safety for children. We had the privilege to sit down with Courtney and Louis Navis as they shared their heartfelt story of their daughter Mila, who is a drowning survivor. What happened to Mila could have happened to any child, and I thank the Navis family for sharing their story with us so we may share this vitally important information with you.
It started off as a regular day. I had asked my son, Brandon, to keep an eye on Mila while I ran upstairs just to get dressed. I typically do this, wasn't a big deal. They would sit on the couch and watch TV, and I'd be a couple minutes. Got dressed, came back down, and I saw my two boys watching TV, and I immediately asked, "Where's Mila?" And neither of them knew. So I ran and looked in the front room, in the playroom. She wasn't there. As I was in the front of the house, my attention immediately went to the back of the house, and our glass slider was open a couple inches. I ran out back and I scanned my pool, just hoping not to see her, and I just scanned. And the last place I looked, I saw Mila face down, floating in the pool. That's such a vivid memory I have of just, her diapered butt in her Wonder Woman pajamas, just floating in the pool. So I jump in the pool and I grab her, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs for help. I grab her, she's purple, she's lifeless. She's foam around her mouth. So I put her down on our pavers, and as I'm screaming, and I begin to do CPR. My son Brandon then went inside and grabbed my cell phone, and he called 911. So I'm giving CPR to my daughter. At the same time, my neighbor heard me, and she came over. I just remember looking at her, and I'm like, "Just help me." And I'm like, "What do I do?" And she then continued. She started compressions on Mila, and I was doing breaths, and then that's when she came to. She wasn't herself, right away. She was still whimpering, and just her color wasn't right. So I immediately, got everything together for the hospital, and we waited for the ambulance to show up, which seemed like an eternity. I then called Louis at work and let him know Mila had fallen in the pool, and I think he heard her whimpering in the background. So I don't really think he knew what had transpired, what was going on.
When she called me, I remember walking to my office, and as I was walking down the hallway, she's calling me, which is something she rarely does. So I answered it, and I can hear in her voice, something's not right. She said Mila fell in the pool. I didn't know what to do. I felt helpless. It's a parent's worst nightmare. It's a call you don't ever want to receive. I went to the hospital. My daughter was awake. She was having trouble breathing, and at that point we realized that when we got transported to Philadelphia that it was a little bit more serious.
So we get to the hospital, and they did x-rays on her, and they noticed that her lungs were inflaming due to the water that she took in. I
wanted the doctors to tell me everything's going to be okay, and they wouldn't. And that's what was really scary. For many hours we didn't know what was going to happen. At that point we didn't care. I didn't care if as long as she was here and alive, that's all that I was thinking for the next 10 hours essentially was she's here with us, and whatever happens we can deal with it from here.
Yeah, that was a big thing too that went through my head even when I found her in the pool. Just, gosh, is she gonna make this? And if she does, is she gonna have long-term brain damage? And but then the next morning you wouldn't even think something happened to her. She was back to herself, running around the hospital floor, playing. And we were released that very next day.
Like a miracle. I think they said it was rare, I guess, that the outcome that we had with her and how quick she essentially bounced back, and they were very happy with when she was ready to go. I mean, she was back to herself, which was amazing.
Yeah. So ISR, the Infant Swim Resource, they came into our life through members of Burn Boot Camp. The word got out about her, and so many people reached out via social media and suggested the ISR. It's a huge thing. And at first I was hesitant, and I don't know why, but a couple weeks after she was enrolled, and she did her 6 weeks, and it was amazing. A few things that I suggest to other parents and caregivers out there, what we learned, there needs to be locks on your doors, high locks so kids can't reach them, alarms, pool fence is huge. Another huge one that it would be get yourself CPR certified. If I hadn't had that knowledge that day, she wouldn't be sitting here with us today, without a doubt. You never know how quickly you're going to get, your ambulance, how far away they are. Never in my life would I thought I would have to do it on my own child. And It was not textbook. I don't think it was pretty, but what I did do helped save her life.
We've heard stories, with parents, unfortunately, they don't know CPR. By the time they call 911 and they get there, the child's already, hasn't had, any kind of air for a long time. And, she was able to act quick and give her the CPR that she needed to restart her heart. So I would say the swimming, the CPR, and a fence around your pool, because we had the locks, we had the alarms. Get the lessons, get the CPR certified, and get the fence.
You have multiple kids, your mind's elsewhere, and kids
It's life.
don't get into things.
Yeah. There's not a day that goes by that we don't think about it. I mean, every day we think about it. We put her at night when she wakes up in the morning. You get frustrated sometimes. I mean, she's a kid, but you realize how lucky we were, and it's not that big of a deal.